What's up guys, it's Cameron here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about mistakes that a lot of people make when dropshipping on eBay. And a lot of these mistakes also apply to dropshipping just about anywhere. And the mistake that I want to start with is probably the most predictable, which is the never starting, or thinking that it's going to be too difficult or that you won't be successful. If you're battling your brain on that one a little bit, just know that those are just obstacles and they're fear-based. They're not real. None of those things are real. You need to get started. You need to just list something so that you can see what it feels like. Especially if you've never listed an item on any kind of selling platform ever, you need to see what the motions are like so that when you list and post a product, you're like, oh, that's not that hard. That's not that difficult. When you have the uninformed optimism and you start to learn, because uninformed optimism just means you're going to keep being like, man, this sounds like I can do it. And then I'm going to look into it more and more. You're going to watch 100 videos like what you're watching right now. And then you're going to have what is the next step, which is informed pessimism. And that means you now have gathered some information. You start to see why there's maybe some obstacles, maybe some difficulties you might run into. And shortly after that is when people talk themselves out of actually trying things. And that's why, you lose shots that you never take. So you need to get started. You need to list some things, and you need to not worry about if you're going to be successful or not, because 90% of the people fail before they even try. So try. That's all I'm asking you to do. Just do it. Now, an actual mistake that people make when they're dropshipping on eBay or anywhere else is that they don't track their pricing. And what I mean by that is if I list something like, I don't know, this is a little thing I use to put the SD card from my camera into the computer, and it's a little USB that puts SD cards in it, whatever. Let's say I want to sell this, right? And I buy this and I source it from Walmart.com or Amazon, wherever it is. You can source it from anywhere. I post it, and let's say this costs $5 for me to purchase myself, but I want to sell it for $10 for this example and make 100% profit on it. If I post this and I don't track the price of this regularly, maybe when it costs me to buy it, the price increases to $10 and now I'm selling it and breaking even. Or maybe it increases to $15. Again, this is a ridiculous example, but this happens all the time. If this now becomes $15 for me to purchase, and I never updated the price or changed anything on my listing, and a customer buys it at the original $10 price point that I listed it at, I now am running into a bunch of problems. I'll stop holding that. I now run into a bunch of problems because one, I either have to fulfill the order and take a negative on it and lose money, or I have to cancel the order, which ruins my metric numbers because a lot of these selling platforms do want you to not cancel orders. They don't want you to have negative feedback, and it affects your metrics and your little percentages that tell the platform whether or not you suck, basically. So by tracking pricing, we avoid negative reviews, negative profit, negative metrics. And then also, even if you can remedy these, which it's not too hard to remedy and, get a customer to cancel the order for you, which is something that's kind of a workaround for some platforms. And it's just communicating with the customer and telling them that, oh, there's a mess up, and then them not being mad enough about it to just like report you or whatever. It's just not worth the hassle. So tracking your product and profit is insanely valuable. I would say it's one of the most valuable things you need to do, and a lot of people overlook it until they get started. They run into a couple mistakes and then they fix it. You can avoid all that by the next mistake people don't make, which is by using a software. A lot of people, and don't let that scare you, don't let that deter you from starting. You can start and use one very simple software to help you with all of your eBay dropshipping needs. And not even just needs, but just like keeping you from making mistakes that you don't need to make. People made these softwares because they've worked with customers, they've dropshipped themselves, and they know the pain points, so you made these softwares to make them easy so that you don't have to do that. And you can just start it in your office like what I do and make it pain-free. And all of us dropshippers who do anything on eBay pretty much all agree that AutoDS is that software to use. It's not expensive. There's a 30-day trial that you can start. I have a link in the description for you if you feel like trying it out. It tracks the pricing for you, which again is the number one thing I want you to think about. And it does a bunch of other things that I'll get into here in a minute that fix other mistakes, to be honest. The next mistake that I want you to avoid is not listing the right products. You can go on and just start listing like crazy, which I don't recommend you do because the platform needs to kind of learn who you are. The platform needs to see you kind of hop on as a new seller if you haven't done already. and list a few things and kind of get familiar. If you just jump on a new account and list 100 items, that kind of looks weird, doesn't it? Like you've never had an account before and then all of a sudden your account's full and fully formed and you listed like crazy. It can happen. Businesses create accounts and everything like that. So it's not unheard of, but it definitely isn't the average seller, and most marketplaces know that. So to avoid that, if you want to list less things but actually have them be sellers, that's another thing this AutoDS software that I'm talking about does. Because there is a tab in there when you make an account that shows products, and it has best-selling winning products that they already know other people are selling. Because it can take all that sales data and let other people know, like, hey, this is a hot item and it sells. So here it is, and you can list it straight from our platform straight to your marketplace. And after that, it can track all the sales for you, and it can monitor the pricing for you, which again is a huge benefit. And that product list I was talking about runs into another mistake people have, which is burnout. A lot of people will start and then just list not knowing what to list at all. So they'll just list anything they can think of, and they will start thinking they need to list 50 things a day or 100 things a day, and find out very quickly that that's not sustainable for their lifestyle. And they'll just burn out, and then they'll have an account that they listed some stuff on it for like 2 days, and then they'll forget about it and it'll just sit there, and it's really just not good for you. Because then later, if you want to use that account, it's just kind of this weird dormant account that's got a bunch of activity for like 2 days. It's just, this allows you to select a few things, list them very quickly, and then turn off for the day. That's one of my favorite things about softwares, is that you don't realize, you think this isn't going to be a lot of work, and then it kind of is if you do everything yourself. But if you use a software, it is what you wanted it to be, which is 20 minutes hands-on, 30 minutes hands-on, an hour if you want to. Get coffee, get some food, list, do some stuff on the computer for a second, and then get off the computer and go live your life. Go have fun. Like, softwares allow that part of the appealing dropshipping lifestyle to exist. And that's why I can't recommend that kind of thing enough. AutoDS, again, down in the description, 30-day free trial. That link take you right there. And one of the last mistakes I want you to think about is don't be impatient. I know it kind of ties into the burnout a little bit, but be patient. List a few things every day. You can list 10, you can list as many as you want, but again, don't go crazy. Don't do like 50 to 100, but list something every day and just get consistent. Just train yourself to be consistent with it. And then when you sell something, learn what products are associated with that thing that you sold, and maybe list a few of those things. And then before you know it, once that happens a few times, you get a rhythm and you really start to know, like, okay, if this micro SD card thing sells, well, what about other versions of this? Ones that are like have way more slots on it, or, you know, ones that are just a bunch of USB. Like, you can use a lot of different ideas or recommended sellers underneath where you bought it to kind of get ideas. It just helps when something sells for you to use a software like this to search for more best-selling options that are related to the best-selling option that you've already sold. So be patient. Know that it will come. Know that you're not gonna suck. You're gonna make it. You're gonna work out, and it's gonna be awesome. So that's all I have. Again, AutoDS down in the description. It's gonna make your life a hell of a lot easier. I promise you. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so that you can find more tips. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.